So, one that this first guideline is always to remember to make the other person feel important. Make the other person feel important, even when you don't agree with them. Never to interrupt when the other person is speaking, right? Unless you are, you've you want, the person is veering off somewhere that that's not helpful. But you let them finish their thought, and then you can gracefully interrupt. Allow the speaker to complete his or her thought. You want to do your best to eliminate distractions when you're speaking with someone and you're having a coaching session. You want to maintain eye contact with the speaker without giving the impression that you're staring. So one way to do that is by looking in between their nose and the foreeye, like in here, instead of like in their eyes. You want to show interest by pulling up a chair, leaning close. If you are having the session via Zoom, you want to place the your camera at eye level so that it doesn't seem like you're looking down or looking up at the person. You want to keep your posture aligned with that of your client. So if your client is leaning to the side a little bit, you want to mirror and match that, quite honestly, um, so that they can feel comfortable. And if you do that at first and then eventually you start to sit straight, your client will do the same eventually. If they're tuning in with you and you're tuned in with them. You also want to give some verbal and nonverbal responses to what the speaker is saying. So, as to say, your client is speaking, you want to nod your head, or you want to lean in to make sure that you're listening. That eye contact. So, essentially, you want to be present. So, of any of these that I've shared, is there any of these that you feel that you want to start employing right away? You can just write it in the chat. So I'll give you a moment to do that, and then we are going to do an exercise so that we can, exercise some of the all the learning that we've done so far. Um, so I have Natasha saying, um, not interrupting and then eliminating distractions, making them feel important. Yeah, making them feel important. You know, the running joke among coaches and like communication training is that you want to go to the other person's side of the street as much as possible and stay there. And when the person feels like, oh, it's like when you're a kid. I don't know if you all had this experience of like being a kid and being able to play outside, and you go to the person's side of the street and you sit with them and you play with them and you sit on the at least I did, because I grew up in the Dominican Republic, and you sat on the sidewalk with them, and like you were on their turf, being on their turf as much as possible. And the longer you can sometimes stay on their turf, the more effective you're going to be in bringing them to your side of the street. Another analogy for you. So for this exercise, if I can have a volunteer again. And essentially, you're going to be sharing with us a goal that you haven't achieved yet. Um, and you're going to share with us some of the obstacles that have gotten in the way, what held you back from achieving those goals. And what we're going to do, the rest of us as coaches, we're going to observe for deletions, for distortions, for generalizations, and for the person's meta program. And then, the things that we're listening for are right here, right? Within their deletions, within their distortions, and the generalizations. So who would like to volunteer today? Who would like to share with us one goal that they haven't achieved yet? Natasha, you've unmuted yourself. Does that mean you're volunteering?
I didn't unmute, but I can go.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries, it's fine.
um, so the rest of us, Magalis, I just want to make sure that you're there with us. What we're gonna do is to check for. So Natasha's gonna share with us um, a goal that she hasn't achieved yet, and she's gonna share with us what has gotten in the way of that. So I'm going to just coach her through that. And then I want for all of you to do your best to notice any deletions, any distortions, any generalizations and meta programs that she's sharing. And so what I also want to say is this is going to be brief. So sometimes we may not be able to like notice too many. And many of the people that you coach are not going to be coaches themselves. So they're not going to, have this awareness that we have. So Natasha, could you share with us? So is that clear to everyone, this exercise? Is it clear what we're looking at? Okay. Magali, is it clear for you? Yes. You're muted. So can I get it? Magalis, you can just nod if you're clear on it or if you have a question.
Yes, I'm clear.
You're
yes,
clear? Okay, great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Okay, so Natasha, thank you for volunteering. So what is that one goal that you haven't achieved yet that you want to share with us?
I haven't put my house on the market yet.
You haven't put your house on the market yet. So what has kept you from doing that?
Change. So all the things that goes into putting our house on the market, getting work done to the house externally and getting rid of stuff that's in my unit I've been dragging my feet.
So you feel like you've been dragging your feet because you said that what has kept you from putting the house on the market is, you said, change.
Yeah,
And
I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by the thought of change. Like I want to make the change, but the work that goes into making the change, I'm overwhelmed by.
You're overwhelmed by the work that it takes to make the change. And then you were specific about some of that. So you said, so I'm wondering, like, of all the things you mentioned like doing work to the house, getting rid of stuff inside. Of all those different changes, which one is the one that that feels the most overwhelming to you?
Before today, it would have been the internal stuff, but today, my God, that was what I had to like step away. We were going over what needs to be done, and it was like all I heard was dollar signs. So it's right now it's the external stuff.
So wait, you said internally that you had somebody come to the house and you were sharing with them what needs to be done. Was that a contractor that came by?
Yes. Oh, okay. The contractor, he had came by before, but he wanted to take a look at the place again. And so he did. And of course, you always find things. And like I said, I just heard dollar signs, like more money.
Oh, you mean when you say you heard dollar signs, meaning dollar signs, money that is coming from you, or money that you're going to receive?
No, money that I have to dish out to
So one of the biggest obstacles you said before today was the internal changes that you needed to make, but now it seems like it's a little bit, it's a bit more clear to you what you need to do and the amount of money that you need to spend in order to make those changes.
Correct.
Okay. So in addition to, you said it's change. right? Like, what about change? What about making these changes has stopped you from putting in the market? So it sounds like one is like not being clear on what needs to happen, being
Mhm.
overwhelmed, but what else?
I mean, just the fact that I have to pack, the fact that I have to get rid of things, I have to find a place to live. People gonna be at my house. So things are a lot different now with COVID, you know, um, with putting a house on the market. So I just have to like get over this internal hump that I have. And once I think, it's getting to the starting, it's like getting to the starting line. I'm not at the starting line. I'm doing the training to get to the starting line. So
Mm,
now I got to get to I got to do all of these things to get to the starting line. Once I get to the starting line, I'll be fine. But it's
okay.
the pre-work that's getting me.
So what's the starting line?
Selling, getting my house on the market.
Okay, that's what you define the starting line. So you wouldn't define the pre-work as the starting line.
Mm-mm. I'm training. The pre-work is like training to me.
Ah, interesting. So getting rid of stuff, packing, finding a new place to live, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do you feel you need in order to be most effective in your training?
Oh my God. It would be dope if someone did all of this for me, like did the getting,
Okay.
like if I had like someone clear out stuff, that'd be amazing.
Okay.
Um,
Someone to
and
clear things out for you.
yep. And if somebody wanted to pay for the stuff to get done, that'd be great too.
So
But
someone to pay the person
yep.
that's gonna do the clearing out.
Mm-hmm. And someone to pay the person that's going to do the contractor. That'd be amazing. But I don't see that happening. So
Okay. So so in addition to, so you said someone to kind of give you the initial money that you need in order to make the changes, the clearing things out, um and to make the physical changes that you need in the house. How what other ways could you get this cash instead of having somebody else pay for it?
get the cash or oh, you mean if I was able to, once I passed this course and I got coaching clients, that'd be residual income.
Okay.
Um, yeah, budgeting, like I'd have to yes, I live in a condo. Um, I have to like recalibrate my budget, you know. I have the money, it's just I would rather not use it on this, if I'm completely honest.
Oh, okay. 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 So you're like, I do have the money, but it's a matter of choice
Yeah.
and of putting it into the condo. Have
Yep.
you do you have an idea of what profit you would make if you sold the property?
I have a range. I do have a range.
Okay. And is it worth investing the money?
It is. I'm just having some separation anxiety.
Ah, there we go. There we go.
You
So,
keep more and more.
yeah, see, I'm keep asking her more questions. And she got to the root of it, right? Is separation anxiety. So separation anxiety. Okay. How do you think you're going to feel once you sell your condo and you're in your new place?
Relieved.
Relieved.
Initially,
How
relieved.
initially. So there's multiple steps to the situation.
Yes.
It's not just about putting your place on the market, but it's also being able to find another place to live. It's a huge amount of change. It's a huge change. And ultimately, you're going to feel a sense of relief.
Mhm.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to feel this relief?
That's a really good question. Um, Probably a 7 or 8.
Okay.
Probably an 8.
Mm-hmm.
It varies, but I'll say an 8.
An 8. Okay. What could you do today to help you ease the separation anxiety that
I don't know.
you haven't been doing?
I don't know. Honestly, I haven't thought about it. I've just kind of existed in this thing. I haven't really thought beyond like what I can do. I've kind of just like been moving in spurts. So I don't know.
Natasha, if I were your best friend, right, and I came to you and I said, Natasha, I'm really having separation anxiety um, with this condo, and like I know I can make. How much do you think you're gonna make when you sell your condo?
Anywhere between 75 and 125,000.
Oh my goodness! And Natasha, and I know that I'm probably gonna make like $100,000, and I could really use that money. I really could. I see it in my account, but I'm having separation anxiety. Like, girl, what do you think I could do?
Man, I'll be like, girl, what you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
That's the question.
Yeah. I need to, and this is probably an external motivator, but I need to be, and that's the coach talk, right? I need to be more uncomfortable.
I need to be more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What would make you more uncomfortable?
My neighbors doing something stupid or
Mm.
like something going down on the street, I need, and it's not a good thing, it's definitely an external thing. But now I don't want my neighbors to be stupid or anything. But if I'm just being honest, that's probably what it is. I
So
need to be more internally motivated.
So it sounds to me like you're almost waiting for something negative to happen.
That's fair.
So that it can put a fire under you.
That's fair. That's fair. Mm-hmm.
That's right. So, and do you think that you've been motivated this way with other things?
Mm-hmm. Especially if it comes to like doing for myself. When it comes to like bettering myself, doing something to better myself. Absolutely. I can absolutely admit that.
I feel that, Natasha. I felt that. I felt that. And so, how long do you want to keep operating this way?
It's not that I want to. I think I'm just like comfortable. And I know I need to make some changes because this behavior, not necessarily this situation, but this behavior shows up in other areas of my life. And so there's like a fear factor there, but I don't know if the fear factor is stronger than the comfortable factor. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. That's a deep question. That's a deep question you just ask yourself. Is the fear factor deeper than the desire factor? The desire being the desire for relief. Right? Because having an extra $100,000 in your account, I don't know about you, but that sounds like relief to me.
It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
Yes. Yes. So how could we make so having that question, right, is the fear factor, the anxiety, you called it anxiety separation. How can we make separation anxiety? How can we make the desire for relief bigger than separation anxiety? How could you do that?
I don't know. And I don't mean to be like, I just haven't thought of it this way.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. And I could give you like generic, make a visual, like all of those things.
Yeah.
But, I have vision boards. I have like my screensaver. Because and excuse me if this sounds, I hope this doesn't sound cocky, but
No.
because I'm a little bit above average, like my motivation needs to be above average. So something like that isn't gonna like, it'll only get me so far is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I 100% understand that you are 100% above average. Of course you are. Not cocky at all. This is the perfect space to say that. What is it that you need that you're not doing? Other than, like you said you need a negative, like you need something to happen to put a fire under you. Like how can you be the instigator of that fire?
Probably starting, like getting that first trash bag of stuff out. Or at least not even getting it out. How about just getting the first trash bag filled?
There you go. The first trash bag filled. Can I hold you accountable to that?
Sure. I have the bags. I specifically bought contractor bags. I've been using it for everything else for what I've been trying to do.
So it's one trash bag. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to stop here, Natasha. And I just want to thank you for
Thank you.
being honest and truthful, because this is why coaching is so important. Right? One trash bag. That's all we need. We just need you to do one trash bag and then another. And then, right, and that's going to generate that momentum. It's going to feel so good.
I know. It is. I'm just glutton for punishment. That's all.
Listen, I get it. Okay. It's in our it's in our DNA to be this way. It's just nothing that you're doing wrong. But now that you're aware of it, right, it's about shifting and realizing what are the small steps that I can take in order to move myself and be more motivated by my desire for relief versus sitting in separation anxiety, because that I mean, I can only imagine how that feels in your body. I mean, I could feel it as I'm talking to you, because that's just the kind of person that I am. I don't want that for you. I want you to feel relief. So, one trash bag. So, for the purpose of this exercise, what did we hear? What did we hear, Natasha, express in this conversation? Any deletions, the meta programs? Feel free to unmute yourself and give us your observations.
Well, this is a Magalis. What I was just learning, I already know that change is very painful. It's really to make change, because when you have to make change, you have to quit to so many things that you have been doing in the past, you know what I mean? So it's hard at any level, personal, corporation, in the community.
So expressing, so Magalis, what you're saying is, so what I hear you saying is you're expressing empathy for Natasha.
Yes, of course, definitely, because I'm going through something similar to her, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm really trying to sell my home, but I can't do it yet. So I don't know, it's painful.
Same, right?
Yes.
So, Magalis, did you, for the purposes of this exercise, did you observe any of the meta programs, the deletions, distortions?
Deletion. I think so. Deletion. Yes.
Yeah. What did you see? What did you hear?
Well, I think like she really doesn't know what to do. She doesn't have like clear steps, no?
She doesn't have clear steps.
And that could be part of the reaction, because painful change is so painful. You know what I mean? That sometimes we don't want to go there. We don't want to put the feet on the floor to start building a real plan. You know what I mean? Step by step to take action and bring the real change that we want, because we don't want to give it up.
Right. So
and
this is why
resistance to change. No.
Resistance to change, right? And so this is where this is where our work as a coach comes in, right? We like, you see, like, totally, right, being empathetic. Yeah, change is hard. Two, like you said, right, you see her making some deletions because she's not creating clear, concise steps to where she wants to go. Like, and like you said, putting her feet on the floor.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. Anyone else notice anything, any other meta programs in Natasha?
So I noticed the towards versus away. A lot of the language that Natasha was using at first was like moving away from the thought of moving, like anything, like listing the reasons why that it just is overwhelming. And I think in your follow-up questions, you were trying to move her towards, like towards the thought, idea, actions of moving. Clara, I think my question and my struggle is, as a counselor, like I hear that, right? And it's hard for me to separate the two. So like when Natasha was talking, I want to delve into the reason of like why discomfort is the motivating factor.
Of course.
And not, and so like, but I don't want to go outside of my parameters as a coach. So I don't know what that safe in between is, because like that's where my mind wanted to go. It's almost like once she said that, it was hard for me to then tune into the other things that happened subsequently, because I'm like, if we don't address that piece first, then all these other creating change is going to be hard to sustain if we don't get to that.
100% agreed with you, Alyssa. I wanted to go there too.
Yeah.
But for the sake of time,
Okay.
I didn't.
So is it normal for me to be okay as a coach to then go and delve into that piece because I am a counselor, or is it like you got to dial back and not?
So this is what this is. So the thing is that if we go there, how far away are we going to take her from taking? So you can't stop what you know, right? You have a whole nother dimension to human behavior that you're not going to be able to hide, right? So it's really a matter of discretion for you, of like doing it in a way that, because the thing with coaching and counseling that's different is that with counseling, like, yeah, you're going to ask for that, like, what's the motivating factor? She may like she may feel excruciating pain from telling you where that really comes from. That may debilitate her from filling in the trash bag, and it may take her a longer time to get to actually taking action. This is, do you agree?
Yeah, it can be in the realm of possibilities, definitely.
It could be in the realm of possible, right? So the difference between counseling and coaching, right, is that counseling there's full permission to go as deep as a person wants to go,
right,
with you. And when you go deep, it can be cathartic, and then it could take some time for the person to heal from that catharticism. With coaching, it's like we can totally look at that for a moment, which I try to do with my questions.
Yeah.
But then I really want to get you to act.
Yeah.
So that essentially what I'm trying to do is get you to take actions to sell your house. And then, because for me, my role as a coach is to get you to what you say you want, as opposed to, and then like many of my clients, Alyssa, have a therapist and work with me as well.
Okay.
Because I could totally have gone back to school, quite honestly, and become a therapist myself. But I chose not to do that because that's an area that I really don't want to go. And it's really a matter of discretion for you. Like, are you gonna have your counselor hat on, or are you gonna have your coaching hat on? Doesn't mean you're not gonna bring your abilities as a counselor. Essentially, right? What we're doing is getting the person to where they want to go. Like, she didn't tell me she was here because she wanted to heal the fact that negative reinforcement is her motivator.
Right.
She's here because she wants to put her house on the market.
Okay. I got to get back to the goal. Okay. That's
Trust
helpful.
me, like, my heart is where you're at.
Natasha, I don't mean to be talking about you like you're not here. It's just
It's fine. Like, I just had a question. Well, actually, I had a question and a comment.
Yes.
So I had career coaching last year, but I also was, and I still am, going to therapy at the same time. And I strongly suggest, if depending on where people are, people do both like, I suggest that happen simultaneously, because you'll find what comes out of coaching and your coach is not qualified to do. You'll see the parallels between whatever you're dealing with in therapy and coaching, because a lot of things that's showing up for you in one space are showing up for you in another space.
Right.
So you're probably going to be a double threat, like one-stop shop. You're going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But as you two were talking, I had a question. And could the difference between counseling and coaching be summed up in counseling is focused on the feeling, whereas coaching is focused on the action? Is that one way to look at it, or no?
I think counseling is focused on the action, but I guess it depends on what kind of counselor you have. Because I think feelings and emotions are important, but you got to move past that eventually into action items. So, like, there's a strategy called brief solution focused counseling, and that moves you to the action part. Because, like Clara, you were saying, like, it's very easy to stay bogged down in that feeling once you start to dredge up all of this stuff. But, like, I think it's more effective to move an individual to strategies that make sense to sustaining whatever, to move past to acknowledge the feeling and move past it. So I think it depends on the counselor, Natasha.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with Alyssa. It really does depend on the kind of counselor that you have. In coaching, we do delve with the feelings a bit because we need to find the underlying motivation of your goal. The reason why, like, in coaching, like, we don't go deep down like where Alyssa wanted to go is because, one, like, I'm not qualified to do that. Like, I don't know what's going to come out of that and how I'm going to deal with that. Two, we could spend like 5 sessions on that only. And it's more about, it's being like more forward moving, and we have a limited amount of time to get you to action, right? Because coaching is like, how is coaching measured is by you achieving your goals. In counseling, we have an indefinite amount of time to be able to, really get under all of that. And it's beautiful. Trust me, I have a therapist myself. I love it. And I have a coach. But, it's really like, what's the goal? So if Alyssa, like, if you feel you can get down there, pick it out, heal it up, close it up, and then we can move forward, hey.
I'm not sure that I can. That's why I try not to touch therapy with adults. Kids are one beast. Adults is a completely different, but it's hard for me not to go down that rabbit hole. And we're talking about obstacles of listening, like the filtering. Once you said that, it was hard for me to pay attention. And so, like, that's going to be a block for me. Because I don't think counseling is advising. It's not me telling you what you need to do. It's like the same as coaching. Like, how do I help you figure out what that is, but it was good practice for me to hear that, because that was a huge mental block for me, that if I don't want to open up the can of worms, I'm going to have to get back to the goal.
Right. Right. Well, good. I'm glad that this was useful for you, because as you know, right, how what can happen with someone at the beginning where it's like you go deep down with them too soon, they may close up and retreat because they're not seeing, like for her, for Natasha, and again, Natasha, thank you so much for letting us use you as an example. Natasha putting that filling up that trash bag, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge, as opposed to going down the other rabbit hole. So just thinking like forward movement, right? Like tapping into the past for what we need, that will propel us forward, and then staying present as much as possible. Jocelyn, did you observe? What did you observe?
So I mostly observed her mention that she really felt like she needs to work on internal motivation, because it seems like external factors aren't motivating her, right? Like the money, the potential, the potential money that she can make is not motivating her enough. So she feels like she needs to motivate herself. That's basically what I got.
So you got her meta programs. Did you see any other like generalizations, deletions, distortions? Did you observe any of that stuff?
I feel like she wasn't saying things that were, I don't recall her saying this is why I can't do this. It was almost like I just haven't. Yeah, she didn't say things like I don't think I can do this, or I'll never be able to do this, or
Yeah, she was taking a lot of self-responsibility for herself.
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So one thing that I just want to point out before we go on break is how she used the word. She was like, "It's change." You know, and I had to, like, that's a big generalization because she's just kind of like using the word, right? And I could have totally been like, yeah, right, change. But what about change? Right? And then like dissecting until I can, because we're not going to like, we're not going to solve Natasha's world today, right? But we can get her to pack a bag. And get her to understand, kind of think about what is it that she needs to do in order to be more motivated, so that things don't feel so overwhelming today. So I just wanted to just point that out, like using one word as a generalization, like change. That's a big word. Like, what about change? How is that affecting you? So that's all I wanted to point out. Natasha, how was this for you?
Helpful.
Helpful.
There's like another layer of accountability. And like another motivation, as you all were talking, one of the things that came up is I never made my condo home. Like it was never home for me. It was an accomplishment, which is dope, but it was never, I never made it. I never really put my personal touch on it. And so another motivation is, all right, the next home I buy is going to be my home. So.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. So there you go. That's another. So we got you thinking. All right. So let's go on. Let's take our lunch break.